Hi everybody, James Egersdorff here, previewing Game Week 23 of the Fantasy Premier League. Hope you enjoyed my January preview video last weekend. Hope there's some useful tips in there. I'm going to continue on that theme around this week's preview video because I think there's some important points that we can drill down on a little more that we've not touched upon. Talked in the last video about January being a really fluid part of the season, driven massively by the January transfer window. Lots of changes at clubs, players coming in, players coming out, and in a lot of clubs, particularly those at the bottom of the league, managers coming in and managers going out. And with change brings opportunity, and that brings a great opportunity for FPL managers, because it's quite straightforward to pick the players that are in form, but what really gets you up the rankings is trying to spot the players that are going to come into form. Your rivals aren't going to have those players. You're going to benefit from their points. You're probably also going to benefit from the fact that those players, when you sign them, are going to be a little bit cheaper than when your rivals react a few game weeks down the line. So I thought I'd talk about that a little bit this week. I also wanted to touch upon something that I think is really quite important as we head into what is now almost the final third of the season, certainly well into the final half, and that's the human element. So a really good fantasy manager won't just look at the fixtures and the form of players. They'll actually think, what is going through the mind of this individual player, or what is the mood within that team, within that dressing room when they take to the field. So you want to think about, can I sign players that have got a point to prove? So it's things like players who want to achieve something at the end of the year. Maybe that's the Champions League, or maybe that's a trophy. Players that don't want to be relegated. Players that simply want the opportunity to play and demonstrate how good they are. So that's applicable to maybe people in the January transfer window. Players who want to nail an opportunity to get a first team place. Players who want to impress a new manager. It's a clean slate when a new manager comes in, so it might be somebody who's previously out of favour. And a real big trophy that's at the end of the year for a lot of the players in the league, and that's a place in the World Cup. So there's World Cup squad places at stake here. So let's apply some of these human bits to a couple of the form players in the league. So we'll start with Lingard. The guy's absolutely on fire. He's gone up a couple of times this week in price. I think he's 6'3", I think now. A number of goals in the last few games and playing a real pivotal role for Man United. He scored, of course, in the FA Cup last weekend. So let's look at some of these factors that we've talked about. Massive carrot for this guy. He's got to be a place not only in the World Cup squad, but if he carries on that form, there's going to be real argument to have him in the first 11 in that World Cup. What an incentive for the guy to carry on his form. Likewise, Man United contesting a place in the Champions League in the top 4. So there's another incentive for him in the Premier League. Probably the title's a bit beyond them now. Another factor that's great for him, he's got some really good fixtures coming up as well. He's got Stoke at home this week, so that's a real opportunity there. Another on-form player, absolutely flying at the minute. He's scored 4 goals already this season from defence, although he plays pretty much as a centre-forward, and that's Alonso at Chelsea. So apply that same theory again. Here's a guy who has been one of Chelsea's best players in the last few years. He's never even been capped by Spain. So what an incentive for this guy to make a push for the World Cup squad. I know there's competition there, but why not? These guys are top performing athletes. Why not go for it? Likewise, Chelsea contesting that Champions League piece. The guy's on form. The guy's got fixtures. There's a lot of boxes ticked there for me. So there's 2 form guys. And all right, that's pretty straightforward, isn't it, to pick the form ones? And what we want to try and do is see if we can identify players that are going to come into form, like I said at the start of the video. So there's some names for you here that I've bounced around. Oxlade-Chamberlain, he's got the same criteria as Lingard, plays in a similar role, desperate to get in that England team. He's got a big price tag above him. Coutinho's now moved on, so there's a big hole, there's a big opportunity to really cement that place in the team. He has been playing in the team in the last few weeks, and from what I've seen, playing quite well, maybe not quite returning as many FPL points as we'd like, but he has been scoring and assisting. Stoke City, 3rd bottom at the minute, sacked Mark Hughes, they've got some great fixtures. Do these guys really want to be relegated? Are they going to get a really inspirational new manager? Martin O'Neill has been talked of. If they can bring him in, we know he's a real man motivator. They've got some really good fixtures, like I say. Is that an opportunity for you there once this Man United game at weekend is out of the way? If you're looking for a bargain, Maitland-Niles down at Arsenal, he's in as a midfielder, he's 4.5. I know he's technically playing left full-back. If you watch the Chelsea-Arsenal game in the Carabao Cup last night, he had a really good game, I thought. Why couldn't this guy get in the England squad? He's 20 years old, I think. We've seen it in the past. Young players have a surge and 6 months of great form, and they get themselves a place at the World Cup or the European Championships in the summer. Could that be a guy? And another player who I've seen him play in the Europa. He's got a good pedigree, young French player. He's just gone to Burnley on loan, a tricky winger called Nkudu. He's not, I wouldn't have thought, gone to Burnley just to warm the bench for a start. It's going to be bloody freezing up there in Burnley, so I probably wouldn't advise that. He's the sort of player that I quite like in the FPL, an attacking player, young guy, probably quite a lot of flair, maybe similar style of play to Zaha. He could be one to watch. Burnley have a hole in their midfield because Brady, of course, is injured, unfortunately. So there's a big opportunity for him there. So that's just 4 names I've thought of. So can you apply those human criteria to your signings moving forward? Likewise, look at the people that are rumoured to be moving. I know Barkley's already gone, so you can apply it to him. But you've got Walcott in at 7.1, Nias 4.7, Diafrasako 5.5, Johnny Evans 4.9. All could be moving, all could be getting regular spots, or in the case of Johnny Evans, maybe not regular, but he's going to be going up in the world. He's going to be potentially off to play for one of the top 4, and all at bargain prices. So you need to be thinking about this planning, and can I get a march on my rivals? Can I get one step ahead? And January is a massive opportunity to do that, so get your thinking hats on, and that's what you need to be looking at. I think captains this week, Kane looks pretty strong. They need a win, Spurs. If you look, there's a bit of a gap there, and I think they're 5th, and if they don't get a win, they could be in a bit of trouble in that pursuit for the top 4. Tough fixtures coming up as well. Likewise, the Chelsea guys, Hazard and Morata. Although what I will say, I did watch that Chelsea game last night. I wasn't bowled over by either of those two. They're not on fantastic form. Leicester under Puel, no pushovers. So maybe if it was me, going against what I said over Christmas, but I'd have a go on Kane this weekend. Have a great game week. Thanks for all your comments. Keep them coming in. Comment in the box below. Thanks for following. Thanks for your support. Have a brilliant game week. Cheers.